Hello, in this video I want to teach you how to get 100%. That might be quite a foreign idea to you, but actually a reading paper has all the information you need in it. So as long as you can read, you can actually get 100%. And you should aim for that. You won't all get it, but many of you will. Right, here we go. What does the question want us to do? Well, the first thing I notice is that it's a blog. This could be a massive problem if you suddenly become much too chatty. So bear in mind, although it's a blog, it's going to be read by adults, and in this case the examiner. So you're always trying to show off your best vocabulary. Secondly, you are recommending the experience of visiting Winter Wonderland. You're not reading through the description and writing as the person in the description. You're not telling about your own experience. You're recommending what the experience will be to people who read your blog. And then we're just going to focus on the third bullet point because that one is the most difficult. That's the one that asks you to infer. And when you infer, you have to work out. Things aren't necessarily obvious. That's why that comes last. And that's why it carries most marks. So how many marks do you get for your reading? Well, there are 3 bullet points, and you get 15 marks for the content. So each of these is really worth 5 marks, and that means in this bullet point, you're looking for a minimum of 5 points to make. And there will always be slightly more than 5 points in the passage that you could pick out. And then the other way to get 100% is to look for the remaining 5 marks, and these are for the quality of your writing. So that's what I'm going to teach you in this video. Right, here's the mark scheme. You'll notice that there are 7 bullet points, so we're going to try to get 5 or 6 at a minimum. And this is what the examiner says: the discriminator is the development of the writer's opinions and predictions. That's what I meant by infer a moment ago. You're working things out, giving forward your opinion and making predictions. Let's see what it looks like in the mark scheme for the actual question. So this is for the content, it's the 15 marks. The response reveals a thorough reading of the passage. It's got to be sustained with lots of supporting detail. That detail has to be integrated, so it has to fit smoothly into your answer. And the ideas have to be developed. And this last idea of how you develop an idea is possibly the most difficult. And that's in the top band, so that's the A and the A star, and I'm going to teach you, no matter what your ability, to get that. So I've simplified the mark scheme here. I'm not interested in all that teacher speak. And there are 4 things I've got to remember. I've got to be thorough. So I've got to try and find as much as possible. And I know that at least 5 points will be thorough. I've got to be detailed. I'm going to teach you how to do that. Integrated. How do I write in a way that's not got wasted words, where my examples fit smoothly into my writing? And then developed. Well, that's really another way of saying detailed and integrated. If I've got detail and I'm integrating lots of ideas, well, actually that is going to give me a development. So these are all interconnected. Then I get 5 marks for the quality of my writing. And you'll notice that language appears twice. So if I pay a lot of attention to my vocabulary, I'm going to get a much higher mark because it's going to slip me up to the top band. You'll notice in the band below, language appears just once. So if my language is particularly impressive, the examiner automatically wants to move me up here. I've got to be convincing, consistently appropriate. Well, that just means convincing as well. A wide range. Well, that just means that I'm going to have to use lots of this sort of language. And it's got to be effective or interesting. Right, well, I think I can do that. I'll simplify it again. Language counts twice. It's got to be interesting or effective, and it's got to be convincing, which is the same thing as saying it's got to be appropriate. Right, let's see what that looks like. Here's my answer. So the first thing I'm going to concentrate on is my use of verbs. My verbs are going to help me integrate, and they're going to help me be interesting. So that they both start with int, which is my reminder. I'm going to integrate and I'm going to be interesting using my verbs. Often I'll start the sentence with a verb. Prepare for your visit by taking the convenient bus. And then my new point, be sure to avoid, there's two verbs there, sure and avoid, the shockingly overcrowded tube train. Pre-book, starting with the sentence, these excellent attractions to avoid queues. Visit the circus, look, there's a new idea, it starts with a verb. New idea here, it starts with a verb. Skate at the rink, and it's worth, new idea, riding the big wheel twice, as, new idea, pre-booking earns a discount. So you can see I'm always starting my points with verbs if I can. Here I've varied it slightly. Children will enjoy. So I could have just said, enjoy Santa's Grotto, but I needed a little bit of extra information because I'm recommending it to families. So I've put children in there first. And the whole family will love the Christmas food, which is very expensive. So be prepared, new point. So I started with the verb, and hemorrhage cash to bring food and refreshments with you. Finally, ensure. So I'm starting my point with ensure, although I put the connective finally to try and end it. You wear, that's another verb, more layers than you think you'll need, another verb. And avoid the biting evening, that should say breeze instead of freeze, sorry, by leaving early. So you can see that this is packed full of verbs which make my writing concise and say a lot. Having so many verbs also shows you how it's integrated. My language is integrated into my sentences, and you can just see that. Look at this sentence here. It's absolutely full of verbs. My verbs are integrated in. So to be integrated, use many verbs and start your sentences with verbs where you can. Okay, let's look at the answer again and ask ourselves, how is it detailed? It's probably easiest to look at each sentence. So, prepare for your visit by taking the convenient bus. So here I've got an adjective which gives me that detail as to why the bus is better. And then be sure to avoid the shockingly overcrowded tube train. And so I've got a reason why the tube train is to be avoided. It's overcrowded. And I've added an extra adjective, it's shockingly overcrowded. And so we're starting to pick up the idea that adjectives also give us lots of detail. So make sure you include the adjectives with your verbs. Those are the only two kinds of words I'm going to focus on in this video. Let's go to the next sentence. Pre-book these excellent attractions, again another adjective, to avoid queues. So now, how is it becoming even more detailed? Well, because I'm going to list what the attractions are. The circus, the skate rink, and the big wheel. And you can see that I've included extra detail about it's worth going on the big wheel twice, and that pre-booking earns a discount. And all that detail is linked. So pre-booking avoids queues and gives you a discount. That's what detail means. You add extra in to give the advantages in the case of this question. Let's go to the next sentence. Children will enjoy Santa's Grotto and the whole family will love Christmas food. Okay. But why is that important? Well, because it's really expensive, and then the extra detail, so be prepared to hemorrhage cash or bring food and refreshments with you. So you can see the extra detail is in the reasons why you should bring cash, or if you prefer, just buy the food, because you can actually bring the money. And I've really thought carefully about this verb here. It's an unusual one, to give the idea that the cash is literally flowing out of your wallet. It's like a hemorrhage, and that's going to put in the examiner's head this idea. It's a little light bulb moment for the examiner. There's my lovely light bulb. saying, oh, I've got a candidate who's really thinking about their vocabulary, I think I'll put them in the top band if I can. Let's now look at the final sentence. Finally, ensure you wear more layers than you think you'll need. That's a pretty good sentence, but I've added extra detail as to why that is. Avoid the biting evening breeze. Oops, remember I corrected that last time. By leaving early. So hopefully you can see that the easiest way to add detail is to write really long sentences which have reasons in them, and to do that you're simply going to use lots of verbs and lots of adjectives. I can summarise that with 3 really simple pieces of advice to myself. 1. Use lots of verbs. 2. Use lots of adjectives. 3. Integrate them by making sure you use them in long sentences. And that's it. It really is as simple as those 3 steps, and you will get into the top band. And if you find lots of ideas, you might well get 100%. Why not? The answers are in the question paper. Well done for sticking with the video.